Not a bad background, actually.
Oh, we're actually
We're
in.
live.
Your mug is in the nice.
Yeah, but I was just covering up here, you know. For a
Uh,
second.
right.
Hey, everybody. Is everybody?
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
I think they are, and they are. Otherwise, they will be present very soon.
Welcome to SARA Academy. You are now live in our model room in Simrishamn, and I am Lena Olsen, the rector of the school, and here we have Hans,
Hello.
who is the co-founder of SARA. We have Alexander, who's in his third term at SARA, and we have Ashlyn, who is from California. I believe there might be someone watching on the other side of the world in California, and in that case, it's good morning, right?
Yes.
Well, we are very, very happy to be here this evening, and we think we have some people joining. We can't really see. We had a little bit of technical problems before we got going, but here we are. So we thought we'd keep this quite relaxed, and we'll be talking about different things about the education, what it's like to be a student here, what it's like to move here from another country, and things that might be helpful to know for those that are not able to visit us. But if you can, you're very welcome to do so.
Recommend it if you can.
Yeah, of course, very recommended, and we're always welcome. You're always welcome to visit. Let me just see if we have some. Yeah, what would be very nice as we go along is if you have any questions to write them down in the column next to the view, and we will answer them possibly as we go along, or we do that at the end. We'll see a little bit how we go about. So Hans is going to talk a bit about how this school came about and why and where. About the program itself, the curriculum, what students do after they finish here. Alexander will talk a bit about what it's like to be a student here and what a typical day is, what a typical week is here at the school. And Ashlyn, maybe talk a bit about what it's like to move here from far, far away to this little fishing village in Simrishamn. Yeah. We are 200 meters from the sea. Been down there today. It was very sunny and still. Some days very stormy. Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Of course, on the website, you can find a lot of the information about the school and that sort of thing, but just sort of in a nutshell, we started in 2006. We were in Stockholm then. It was called Atelier Stockholm at that time. And then when our building was sold, we moved. We needed to find another location, and so we looked all over Sweden and kind of fell in love with Skåne in this area and this great building that we have. And we're really lucky to be that we have the whole building. It's beautiful. It's old 19th century, late 19th century building. Really lovely. So here we are now in Simrishamn. What is it? Our 18th year, 17th year, something like that.
Yeah.
In total.
Oh, in total, yeah.
When we started in 2006, we were the first school of this sort of atelier style in Northern Europe. First one in Sweden, and yeah. Well, so here we are, and in Simrishamn, little fishing village. But beautiful area. I mean, it had advantages to come down here from Stockholm. Stockholm is a wonderful city, very cosmopolitan, all of that. But Skåne and Simrishamn, it's very close to Copenhagen, easy day trip, a couple hours away from Copenhagen, and from there you can get anywhere in Europe in a heartbeat. Beautiful, really cool city, great museums too. Around here, the natural beauty, it's famous for that, Österlen, this area. Economically, it's nicer for students. It's cheaper than living in Stockholm in a big city. And
less distraction as
yes.
well, and more focus on being in school, being here, because we dedicated
that was
3 years.
Very interesting, because when we moved down from Stockholm, we were of course concerned, Sanna and I. I'm Hans, the co-founder. Sanna Tomatz is the other co-founder, And when we moved down here from Stockholm, we were really concerned that, well, people would find it was pretty boring to be in a little tiny village, right? Despite our closeness to Copenhagen and all that. And what we discovered, some people followed us from Stockholm down here, of course, and they said that, just what you mentioned, that it was actually a plus, that it was less distracting. You have to make an effort here to be distracted. You have to make an effort to go to Malmö or to go to Copenhagen or something like that. Whereas in Stockholm, it's always right outside your door or in a bigger city.
Yeah.
And so that allowed them to have more time to focus on their own work and their studies, which so was kind of an unseen benefit of being down here.
We're also situated in a beautiful part of Sweden
Yeah.
as well. So
Saying
that,
it's gorgeous.
I think many
the
people do.
opportunity for plein airs here is simply
Yeah.
great. Landscape painting, getting out and just capturing all from the sea to the beautiful forest, and the different national parks we have around.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do come here knowing that they enjoy time in nature.
It's a very popular sort of summer destination.
Yeah.
The town triples in size during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And during the school year, it's quiet. But a nice thing about a small town too is that you're close to everything.
And I think it's worth mentioning.
The grocery store,
Exactly.
Everything is pretty close. So you're within walking distance. You don't have to have a big commute or anything like that.
Yeah.
And there are surprisingly a lot of artists around this area. There
It's
are a lot of living
density
practicing artists.
Of working painters in Northern Europe is here in Österlen.
Yeah, yeah,
That means people who make their living doing art, not just hobby painters.
yeah,
That is
Not artists like
absolutely
this, but artists.
yeah.
There's a difference. But I'm just saying, we're unique in this area.
Yeah, I'll just chip in. There'll be other things, but on that note, the school is always participating in the yearly Konstrundan, which is the art fair that happens every year over Easter time. So I guess that's been going for 50
since the
years.
1960s.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that also attracted Sana and myself down to this area, was that this established Konstrundan, which is basically like a studio crawl over a week's period, always around Easter time. And literally hundreds of thousands of people from Denmark, Germany, and neighboring countries, of course, come here for the sole purpose of looking at and buying art, which is pretty huge. I mean, it's great. A lot of artists around here make their living all year round on that 1 week, and then they work the rest of the year just and support themselves through Konstrundan. So that was pretty cool. And so, yeah, we participate in that. Absolutely.
If you are able to make your way here in April, the exhibition takes place between the 4th and the 7th of April. That's when the school will be open. The Konstrundan itself is spread over 2 weeks, but we will be open for 3 days.
2 weeks.
Yeah. We will be open for 3 days. So you can find some information on our website about that. But let's talk maybe a bit
so
about
the school.
the education
So
itself.
we find ourselves here. It's a 3-year education based on what Sana and I experienced ourselves, coming from an atelier education like that, but improved. We wanted to make the school the kind of school that we would have wanted to attend, because we had good and bad experiences, and so we sort of gleaned the best experiences from that and our experience studying with other painters and things like that to create this place. So 3-year education, first year, pretty much all drawing, all black and white, no color even. Second year, chalk and charcoal, half the year is spent still drawing, and you finally get into painting, right? And then but still black and white painting. And finally in your third year, you're doing black and white and then color painting. So it's not a place where you just come and freely experiment or anything like that. I mean, it's very disciplined, but that disciplined structure really nets you observable, palpable results. I mean, you'll see it, you'll feel it, that you're getting better, your eyes getting sharper and all of that. So it really works. It's based basically on how painters have been trained for hundreds of years with some, modern additions and things like that. So that's sort of how it's set up, those 3 years. You maybe can talk about those things too.
Really quick thing on that is being right in the middle of the program in term 3, so almost halfway through the school education now. I find it so valuable that you break this education program down in this many steps, because if you were to start like trying to handle color temperature or whatever, it would be too much, you know. So you
Overwhelming.
scale it, yeah. And also not starting with 3D objects. We start with drawing another drawing or whatever, you know. So I think you really do a really good job in breaking it down into palpable like sets that we can actually work with. And when we get quite familiar with that, yeah, we get the next
Yeah,
challenge,
because
the
that's
next
the way it's
challenge.
been done and it works.
Mhm.
You know, you start with one thing, you master that, then you move on to the next thing and then the next thing. You know,
Yeah.
sort of sensible progression as opposed to, like you said, here's the palette with all the colors now. Paint that person. It's like
Wow.
temperature, color, edges, you know, value. It's just too much. It's overwhelming. So it's you're always ready for and eager for the next step when you get close to it. Right now, next we're going to start in preside painting or whatever.
Start sneaking
So
back.
that works really well. And just please have a look at our before and after galleries online, and you can see the progress people make. I think that's important. A lot of schools, of course, you know, show their best work that's been produced there. Obviously, you would do that, but it's also nice just to see, you know, where those people started and where they got to. And that's why I like the before and after page that we have, where you can see what people submitted in their applications, you know, where they came to us with, and then where they got to in different periods in their career. So it's pretty cool.
So it's a section on our website called Before and After, which is quite useful to look at.
It's a gallery, right? Yeah.
And on that, you've had quite a few students that have almost no earlier like experience of
course.
drawing, right?
Yeah.
That did almost their first
Okay.
artworks as a send-in and then went through this program with huge, you know, learning skills and tool sets after this.
I think people, maybe even some of you, are worried about that. You know, am I good enough to apply or something like that? When you send in an application, if you choose to, you know, we don't expect to see great work. That's why you're coming to art school. You know, you have to start somewhere. Everybody was an amateur when they started, and you know, that's just to be expected. So don't stress about that. But the progress that you can make in an environment where things are set up in a way to help you move at your best pace, that's exciting. That's very exciting, I think. And that's evident on the gallery, so check that out. Another thing that we do a little bit differently here than other schools that are similar to us, let's say, is that we have this sort of creative focus as well. What we felt, Sana and I, and our colleagues too, that, you know, with the same sorts of schools, was that when that creative muscle, when it's not exercised, it sort of atrophies, you know, you get lazy. And so we have creative exercises. One that we do here is called the seed, where we suggest a topic or a little fragment of an idea or a quote or something like that, and then students will create an original work based on that, right? And then we share that with the group. You get feedback. You know, were you successful in expressing what you wanted to express? Was it read differently by the group? Really a lot of valuable feedback, and it's sort of that craft, not just the technical aspects of learning how to make things look like you see them, which of course is the reason why everybody comes here, and you do get that, and you will get that, the technical craft of picture making, but also that sort of more creative aspect of it is also very important. That coupled with Friday lectures, a little bit of art history, the business of being an artist, contracts, artist statements, resumes, that sort of thing. And then other little things that we have bring in. We have workshops, like we're having a sculptural workshop soon. And etching week. It's always awesome, always fun. So we have
This is the etcher.
yes, well, I'm one of them. We have lots of burgeoning and growing etchers here, and some that have left school and actually become etchers. It's really cool. So that's really fun too. What else about the education have I left out? You say these things a million times, it's easy to forget things.
Do
I have something written here?
Good. I was thinking, because that was one of the things that you and Sana felt quite strongly, was to have the seed, wasn't it?
Well, to be creative.
To have
so why
that
you're
creative
here.
side of the education.
There are a lot of really good painters out there. And this isn't the only way to learn how to paint. You know, you can go to other schools, you can go to a million different ways to learn how to paint, but I like the quote from Max Stirner who says, you know, it's as easy to learn to paint from a book as it is to learn to swim on a couch. You know, it just doesn't work. So having this sort of environment, nice supportive environment. The other thing I want to add is we're kind of small, actually. We're at 35 students max-ish. So that's a nice like working studio environment. Like imagine Rubens's studio would have been or something. Yeah, everybody knows everybody. You get nice relationships with each other, with your teachers, and that's really positive, I think, too. And those last well beyond when you leave here.
Yeah.
And speaking
That
of
was
leading
how
here,
you wanted to
yeah,
keep it
that's-
always, wasn't it?
I don't want to
keep
work
it
in a big,
small. No.
I don't know. I mean, it's important that you guys like to be here,
Yeah.
and that our teachers like to teach here. You like to work here. That's a nice environment, and that's a beautiful environment. I think we've had enough experiences, Son and I, in places that weren't that way, and we suffered for it. And so I think beauty inspires beauty, and that's why we make a big effort to have a beautiful environment and a supportive one, where people are not sort of competitive in a negative way. Like if if you fail, it's good for me. It's more just like, wow, that's amazing. How did you do that? And I'll help you and show you what you did. That kind of an atmosphere is really important. And I think so far we've been very successful in finding people that work well together. Because of that small group, the application process. I think our application is probably the most extensive out there of schools like this.
Yeah.
We ask a lot of questions, but they give us, it's important that you know that this is the right place for you, because we don't want anyone here who doesn't want to be here. That's why I really recommend, if you can, come and visiting the school. Visit all the schools that maybe you're interested in, see if you click or how they feel. We want this to be the right place. We want everyone who's here to want to be here, that it's the right place for them and not waste their time or money or our time, So that's important. That's why we have lots of questions on the application form. Gives us a better picture of you, and also maybe you a better picture of sort of what we're about as well.
And I think as coming from an outsider and then starting to study here, I really find that you did a beautiful job creating an atmosphere of cooperation, a friendly competition or whatever you want to call it.
Thanks, buddy.
People, because we're different in temperament, all of us, some of us are
exactly
creative. With a full palette.
You get 35 creative people together.
So of course it's
a freak show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I still find that it's like people are really open towards other people's differences, and it's a very compassionate atmosphere in that sense.
I think Son and I are super proud of that. We'd love to hear that. Thank you. And because that's really important to us, that it's that kind of a feeling to this place, that it's not fun to be in a place where it's not like that. I mean, I've lived it. Sana, it's just, but in a place where everybody wants the same thing. They love this kind of art. They want to get good, and so let's help each other, and have those relationships extend beyond school. When you're out there, this is a good gallery. This is not a good gallery.
Exactly.
There's enough for everybody. Just help each other. We can all benefit from that. I think that's wonderful. So
also just the simple things of older students appreciating being asked for tips, of courses that they've gone through, coming in and asking them, and they're, giving very good tips of things they found or tools they found that worked very well with different materials and so forth. And that I find very helpful as well, that, they could be very secretive. Maybe they are, maybe they give me the wrong tips.
No, I don't think so. Except sponges.
I think it's genuine.
Like those sponges out there.
Yeah, I agree. I feel it's a very uplifting community. We're all trying to push each other to be our best, and we're all here to learn. So we're all here to help each other learn too. And me and my peers sometimes will have these moments where we're just we can't believe we're here, and we're just grateful. We're wow. And then we talk about our whole journey about how we first discovered this school, and we're just, this is crazy that we're all together, in this moment. And
from all over the world, really.
Exactly.
It's that's what makes it very, very unique too. I think that everyone comes from different places, and when a new term starts, because we have intake both autumn and spring, you never know where this new bunch that's going to be part of the community, and that is always very exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. Anyway. It's about 30 to 40% of our students are from countries outside of Sweden. Yeah. All over the world. Really.
That's a big number on that. I don't remember now, but we have 10 plus nationalities at least.
It's usually around that. Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
I was just thinking if we, what people do after when students leave.
Yeah, all right. So, why come here? What can you do with these skills? Well, you own them. I mean, they're yours. They're real practical skills that you own. And if the power goes off, there's no internet or whatever, you still have the skills, right? And those skills are in demand in lots of different industries. There, you can become, I mean, why San and I created the school would be for fine art painters. You know, people who just want to have these ideas, these visions, and they just want to be able to, you know, have the ability to express them as best they can, right? Nothing's more frustrating when they have these awesome ideas and you suck and you can't make it look decent or good, right? So to help people do that and become, you know, independent fine artists who can exhibit through a gallery, and today it's getting easier to not even need a gallery through social media and things like that, right? So that is one career, of course, primarily a fine artist. But then I think maybe even as much as a third of our students come to the school because they are interested in concept art, you know, visual effects, that kind of stuff. I think a lot of gaming and cool movies like whatever, Avatar or something like that, have made people interested in realistic art again. You know, want to draw cool creatures and environments and all that. So there's a lot of people that come from that, and then who we can save them and bring them to the light, and from the dark side to the light, and make them fine artists. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
We're very cool with that. Do whatever you like.
But with that, we have like CGI is
Yeah.
a very modern thing now, and it is
Yeah.
prominent in a lot of movies. And you need some sort of realistic knowledge or
Yeah.
anatomical knowledge
Absolutely.
to be able to create a realistic.
That's industry that's based on, you know, realism. Does it look real? You know, is it convincing? And so the skills that you learn here are applicable there. Of course, they're applicable in illustration, whether it's children's books, your own books, graphic novels, medical illustration, natural history illustration. Any of that all works as well. There's lots of careers where those skills have value that you learn here. So it's up to you what you want to do with them, of course.
Mhm.
But that's where people go. I mean, they do those sorts of things. Fine artists work as illustrators, freelance illustrators, digital artists, that kind of thing. We do not teach digital art here, and we don't work from photographs. We have a lot of very good digital artists here, you know, but that's not something that we teach or focus on. I have no interest in that, either does Sana. But these skills help that skill set as well.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around. We've had lots of applicants with amazing digital art who, when they get into the figure room or something, it's not an indicator of that kind of skill. It's a different skill set. But I know that getting this skill set here that you learn here will improve your digital art and all that as well. We've had lots of feedback on that, so we know that. Just want to put that out there.
I think this could be, we'll carry on with this sort of structure, but I think I'd be quite interested at this point to hear what made you to choose this school out of.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
You would have had some other schools to choose from, but what made you choose this school?
Well, for me, I think I had an easy way in because you were looking for models, and I was living in Malmo, so barely 2 hours away from here. And yeah, they needed models, and I was working full time as an artist. So yeah, I started modeling here because, you know, I was a bit scared. Like, to be honest, I was a bit scared about, like, should I take student loans? Should I do this and this and that? And, you know, so I started working as a model at the same time as I was working artist. And then just being able to stand there, getting comfortable in my own body, listening to the teachers give their critiques every day, just getting, like, you know, being in this inspiring environment, you know, and coming home and drawing every day. But then I still felt angry because I was lacking skills. So I had visions that were much more amazing than what I could put out. Did not understand how to draw or how to, you know, capture that vision. So it became quite apparent, like, dude, I have this one life, you know, and I am mortal, you know, so let's invest in this. And it was a super obvious choice, you know. Did my application, best choice I did, like, foreign. I'm so grateful for that every day. And now I'm just working on making time pass as slowly as possible to really use these 3 years to,
because
you know,
it goes
best of
very
our
fast, I'll tell you
extent.
that.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
true.
But we're very happy to have you here.
Thank you. Same.
And Ashley.
For me, I was going to a junior college, and then my art professor told me about, because he knew I was interested in realism. So he told me about ateliers, and I had never even heard the word before. And then he showed me this site. It's called ARC, Art Renewal
Oh, yeah.
Center, I believe.
Oh, is that where you found this?
Yes, and so I looked at all the ateliers all over the world, except not in the US, because I knew I also wanted to travel at the same time as learning. So I looked at all the ones outside the US, and the one that stood out to me was SARA. I looked at like all the Instagrams too. And so I knew for a few years, because I finished out getting my bachelor's. I knew the whole time that I would like to apply to SARA after I had gotten my degree. And then finally the time came around, and it worked out, luckily. But it was just the one that stood out to me. And
Why did it stand out?
I think just how the art looked.
Okay.
I knew, like, when I saw the art, I wanted these skills one day in my life to be able to draw realistically. And it's my second term now, and already I can see a huge improvement in my figures, especially because before it used to be really frustrating trying to get proportions. But now it's a very like nice process to be in the figure room, and I'm happy with how they turn out.
That's good. Very good.
I just want to mention something that just came up when you were saying that, is that the method, we don't use the site size method, which is like in almost, I think, maybe every other atelier school. They use the site size method, which, you know, I was raised on and taught it to and all of that and loved it. I was a real sort of fanboy of that method, but then quickly fell out of love with it, and I don't like it anymore. And that's why we don't teach it here. We teach the comparative method, which is far less limiting, doesn't require a very, you know, super careful setup, you know, and that sort of thing. It's much more natural and how it was done, you know. So there's some information on that too on the website. If you're more curious about that, look it up and read that. It's pretty in depth as to why we don't use it, but that also makes us stand out, I think, from other schools. We don't use that. So, I mean, you mentioned comparing the art, and I was thinking about the art and your drawing, and I thought that was important to sort of, because you can get pretty decent results with the site size method that look pretty convincing, you know, pretty good, but it's very, very limiting to work that way. So anyway, I'm glad though to hear what you said, that, you know, it stood out, and well, you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my other school too, it was more conceptual, versus here you really learn those technical skills.
Definitely.
I think that's really good.
I mean, it was a normal like modern art school, right?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Which is good if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Welcome here. Won't get that.
I'm really glad I tried a year at the normal modern art school.
Yeah.
It was not what I was seeking. So I'm
That's the
really
thing,
glad
and
I
that's-
found this place. You know?
It depends on what you're after.
Exactly.
I could not help you be a better modern artist, you know. I have no interest in that. Go somewhere else and you'll be much happier. You know, but if you're looking for something else, like improving those technical skills, you'll be very frustrated in a lot of
Like
normal art
craftsmanship,
schools because they don't, you know, that's not something that they teach. So it really does depend on what you're looking for.
I hope that everyone's who are here joining us can hear us okay. If there's problems with that, I hope that you will write in and say
Yeah.
so.
I
Because
heard the volume on my phone
Yeah.
just when we started.
Fine.
It was
Yeah.
good volume,
That's fine.
but please let us know if
okay,
there would be
yeah,
any
yeah. I just want to say, don't be shy. Just come with questions or comments or
Please
anything.
come with questions. It's so much easier.
We're eager to hear
Sure.
them. Yeah. I guess I'll mention a little bit about how you apply and more sort of informational things. But a lot of this is, of course, on our website, and you're always welcome to write to us and ask questions or so. But a lot of things are on the website. So Hans mentioned a bit how you apply for the program, and on the website you can download this application form, which is quite thorough. So take your time to write to answer the questions and think about your answers. You send that to us with three compulsory pieces of work, which is one portrait study and a figure study and a still life, which all have to be drawn or painted from life, and then 2 works that you choose yourself. that you find represent you and where you're at in your art. You can email that to us. It says on the website that you have to post it, but we're moving up a little bit in the world, and it's fine to email.
2023, here we go.
We've always had.
I have something to add. Pro tip for you guys. I don't know how many people are watching, but if you are watching, you're definitely interested in the school. I appreciate that. So here's a little bit of advice about applying to the school. When you're answering the questions in the application, what's important for us to see, the people who look at those and read those applications, don't give us one sentence answers. Tell us, show us that you are passionate about this or something like that. Just an answer like yes, no, I heard about you here. It's just, someone else who's writing more, who's sort of expressing something more, they're going to get our attention. So try to be as thorough as you can, on your responses, and just sort of talk to us a little bit. Let us know how you feel about this, or what you're thinking about this, or whatever, whatever the question is. But try not to be too economical in your responses, maybe, so that we get a clear picture of who you are, if this is really the right place for you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, good. We mentioned before, it's an international school. People come from all over the world to study here. For Swedish students, the education is approved by CSN, so you get state funding to study here. EU students can in some cases also get this, but there are some sort of restrictions around that, which we're happy to tell you about if you get in touch. Just a small tip: we have the 3-year program. Traditional realist drawing and painting. There are also 1-year programs, but if you study in Sweden with CSN, you always have to apply for the 3-year program, because it's that is approved. The 1-year programs are there for people that come from abroad, because you have to get a study visa, residence permit in Sweden, and you only get that for 1 year at a time. It doesn't mean that you study on a separate program. You are part of the 3-year program on the 1-year courses as well. What else could be helpful to know? Housing, maybe? When you come from abroad, we help out with that as much as we possibly can. It's usually not a problem. You all have somewhere to live.
And for me as a Swedish person, it was very easy to find out.
It's a bit easier.
And there is quite a lot of apartments. So usually, it can be a problem if you're coming from outside of Sweden, that renting an apartment here without a social security number or whatever. But we have had no problems so far, and we have good hostels, bed and breakfasts, and then
there's
people renting out in second hand, and a lot.
It is a small community here, and there's people that rent out a room in their house or apartment and so forth.
Rarely have
Or 2 students.
always find a big someplace for somebody.
It usually works out. Rent is a little bit cheaper in Simrishamn maybe than big cities. So
definitely.
That's a plus.
Much cheaper than California too.
Is it? Yeah, no, that is good. We see. Can we still talk a bit about what's here in this building? What we have here. We're in the model room right now, which is a huge room full of drawings and paintings on the walls. We have, like Hans mentioned before.
Yeah, we talked about that.
What's that?
I just said we need to create a video tour of the school that online people can just go to walk.
We talked about that, me and Sana, earlier today, so that's going to happen this spring.
We'll do that. We have
half your day is spent here in this room, almost.
True.
Because the day is divided up into your figure work. So you draw the figure for 3 hours in the morning or in the afternoon, and then the rest of the, if it's morning, then the afternoon is spent doing your personal projects, whether that's still life or cast or whatever.
Yeah.
So a big part of your day is spent
a lot of
here.
time in this room. Mm-hmm. This room is also where we have our Christmas parties and graduation and things like that. So this is
Saturday parties, Sunday
exciting
parties.
room.
Besides the official ones, right? Yeah, right.
All right.
We would
Ansin,
Yep, we have a big screen,
Watch films in here. Too.
surround sound, you get lawn chairs out, you sit back and watch. It's pretty cool.
That's actually really nice.
Yeah, it is.
And lectures.
Yep, it's also a lecture room.
But Alexander will talk a bit about a typical day here.
Oh, yeah, I thought you meant that I was talking about the lectures.
No.
Tell them how good they are.
Yeah, I know.
Who's the main
Are
lecturer?
you tipping me something
Yeah,
here? So I can-
we'll talk about that later.
They're the best.
What's a typical day like?
Okay, so
No,
typically,
we're not there yet.
No,
Where are we? I'm lost.
The
We're the
building.
building.
I was just
Awesome
moving.
building.
I was moving from the model room to the etching room. We have quite a nice etching room,
Yes.
which
Big
Hans
press.
is in charge of the big press in there, which is you'll be using that if you study here for
I'm
1
actually
week.
really impressed
Well,
that
every-
you have the big etching
Yeah,
press,
it's
the
really
big
beautiful.
classical one.
It's around Christmas time, close to Christmas, we have etching week, where students or a certain group of students, everybody does it at some point, but they just do spend a week full time just etching, just to learn the basics about etching, and then they can opt to be, have more etching, be an etching club and things like that. So, but it's really just really cozy. It's fun. It's great at Christmas because you get to make multiples. You can trade and give us Christmas presents, and we have it super cozy. Let me just say, just speaking of cozy,
Yeah.
and Sweden, and the north, and the darkness, people get worried about that. They get concerned about that.
I think that's good to
I
talk
came
about,
originally from South Dakota, Midwest, right? That's where I was born and raised, and everybody goes, oh, it's so dark, and like you're gonna have to have a light in your face, you're gonna kill yourself or something from depression or whatever. And it's not like that at all.
They're so dramatic.
They are. I just found that the Swedes know how to make it really cozy and pleasant.
Lots of candle
Lots
lights,
of living
candles,
lights and buns,
gingerbread
and
cookies.
yeah, it's just really.
Lots of
But I'm
candles.
serious. I don't know. Understand all the fuss. Maybe you can tell me what you feel coming
How
from
are you finding
California.
the winter?
But I just thought it was like not a big deal.
I mean, as long as you have a nice coat, you'll be fine. But I
Yeah, from
really enjoy
California.
when it does snow. It's just so beautiful in the streets and in snowball fights. But yeah, I do really enjoy the candles and stuff. I feel like it hasn't really been too bad.
Not too
It's
bad.
usually pretty mild winters here, though. Not much snow, actually.
And we are a bunch of crazy bastards that go swimming in the ocean, at least once.
Don't
a
point
year.
at me. I'm not one
A
of those.
small
No.
bunch. A small bunch. She's one of them.
I respect, but you're not going to get me in there.
Well, I'll give it another year.
I'm not a water person. Despite all the beautiful beaches, I'll just walk the shore.
No, but also maybe this is different. But a quick thing on the winter thingy that I've been maybe having for me as an artist, not as a private person, but as an artist, the summer for me is more tricky because the summer is good weather, it's warm outside, it's everybody's having barbecues, we're out swimming in the ocean, we're paddling, we're doing you're doing stuff all
really nice.
Summer is 3 months of being outdoors, and it's never dark almost. It's
Right.
only dark for a couple
Long,
hours.
long days.
Yeah. So for me, it's less
Lots,
time in
yeah.
the studio. That's the inspirational season, whatever, And then, so I'm always quite happy when autumn sets in, the dark starts coming, and because I'm spending time indoors, which means more time in my studio, more time in school, more time in the creative aspect of my life. And then, so for me, it's having these seasons is the positive in my end. But I grew up with the seasons, so I don't know any better. But for me as an artist, I've seen winters being a bless in that sense because you're not distracted by the magical outdoors,
I just like that the winters aren't brutal here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's very
No.
mild. We have long falls.
They're around
We have-
32 degrees
yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Everything is green
Celsius.
year round, pretty much. It's
Yeah.
always green someplace. March is kind of muddy,
Yeah.
and gray.
I was just gonna say
February is
it's pretty,
windy. The storms blowing in, but that's kind of
pretty
fun.
dark
Yeah.
in the winter.
Yeah.
But,
I think what helps during December time too is the Christmas markets.
Mm.
It really, and how you guys celebrate Christmas all the Sundays leading up.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
Advent.
Advent, yeah.
You don't do that. Oh no, maybe that's not an American thing. I have
No, but
European parents too, so maybe that was something that we did. You don't. That's true.
we get
But you
through.
start
We
celebrating
get
Christmas
through
and
the
Thanksgiving.
winters, but
Or Halloween even.
it's nice when it gets lighter.
Oh,
Um,
spring is always welcome.
Always, always.
Mhm.
I have to mention that I don't know if you knew this, but there was actually Northern Lights here.
Yeah.
When?
Last
I
night and
heard.
the night before. Northern Lights. It's very rare to see that in this part of
I'm
the
so
Yeah,
part
sorry.
of
we
Sweden.
visited.
In the
I
north.
didn't see any.
Oh, you did? You looked and you didn't see any. You met them.
Oh,
Did you see
my
some?
yeah. We saw.
You also
saw
saw
it
them
in
in
Singapore?
person. You
But
saw
you
them.
have less light pollution than we do here as
my
students.
daughter saw it.
Wow.
Yeah.
She didn't just lie about it?
Actually, you actually no. Actually, you actually traveled to the north of Sweden to see the northern.
I know.
Yeah.
I've
Which I'm
wanted
very
to see them.
impressed
Have you
at.
seen them?
Very few
Same.
make it up there. I'm very impressed that you did that. But I can see that time is going quite fast. It's already
Okay.
7:45. So
What's
I
left?
wonder.
Finish strong.
Yeah. Every day in school. Typical day.
Yes.
Okay.
I think maybe I think that would be. I had a few things, but let's see how we go.
Yeah,
I think
we'll just
I think
you
it's
know?
nice to hear what's a typical. What's a day and a week like here? How would you say you go about your week?
Oh wow, that's a lot to unpack. No, okay. So usually school opens at around 8. You know, school starts at 8:30. I'll drop in at 9:30. No, all jokes aside. Well,
Maybe not so much joking.
Well, you're here now. You're late,
Exactly.
you're late in the evening.
Yeah.
So.
no, but so for instance, us early terms or now I'm in term 3, we still have our casts in the mornings. So you know, we stand up there in our classroom, working away on our cast. We just started the big cast now. So it's a 10-week project.
How did the paper con go?
That went really well. Good. Much grayer tone, not the kind of bluish. And
You
looks
put another,
perfect.
you put another coat on.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm looking forward to start that one
Yeah.
tomorrow. So now we've been
so
doing.
that's a 10-week cast
yeah.
you're doing.
So now we actually put maybe a day or two or however long, since we're working on the same cast and it's a bigger cast, you know, we put a lot of effort into the setup. So just, you know, fixing the lights, fixing the shadows and however we want the composition to be, because you're undertaking a 10-week drawing program, you know, so you got to be invested in it and really make sure you do something that you will enjoy working on for that extent of time to keep your spirits and morale up, you know. And otherwise we have lunch at 12, you know, between 12 and 1, and everybody eats a bit either together out in the lounge or the kitchen, or people eat, you know, sometimes now it's almost time so we can eat lunch outdoors, which is really nice in the sun. Then we have afternoons in the model room. The older terms 4, 5, and 6, the painters, they are in the model room in the morning, and then we switch around, you know. So we have models all day, every day, like Monday through Thursdays. It's models in the morning, in the afternoon, every day, working back and forth. We have some evening programs as well. So Mondays, Tuesdays, we have portrait sessions that are mandatory that we do. Same thing, croquis. So we have open croquis or figure drawing evenings on Thursdays, which Ashlyn is one of the heads of. And otherwise we come to Fridays. So yeah, Monday through Thursday, it's hard work. Bam, 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 bam. Cast still lives, model room. Chilling out, of course, we need breaks every now and then, you know, meeting down in the kitchen, having a cup of coffee or tea and just, you know, talking for a while, because you get exhausted. We're still only human. You have your emotions. You have a sucky day, you know, you take every errored line personally, you know, like, oh, fuck you, I suck, you know, excuse my language, all the time. No, so you need a bit of breaks, and I find that to be a beautiful bonding process for the students as well. Having those hard times, taking everything personally sometimes, yeah.
You're sharing them.
But also, like, somebody comes in with this body language, like, oh, he's having a tough day, you know, and the next day it's my turn. And you have that kind of beautiful bonding of, you learn to not take it as seriously, because you also see the hardship in other people, you know, and students and friends. And so that's really nice.
It is an intense program. It is
Oh,
intense.
really intense.
It's very
Yeah.
structured, and it does
Be
require
warned.
you to be on
Mhm.
time. You have to be, you know, the model is there on the stand at 8:30. You mustn't be late. Then you can't enter the model room for another 20 minutes. And
Mhm.
if you haven't.
Oh yeah, and quick thing about the model room there is we do everything on timer. Like, so we have a session of 20 minutes, you know, where there's active drawing time, the model is in place, but the model can't stand in a single pose locked for a full day. The model needs breaks, and the students actually needs a bit of breaks too. So we have model session with a short 5-minute break, and then a model session, shortened break, and that goes on for the whole session.
Longer break in the middle.
Yeah, one longer break for the model and then that really helps us both in being very active as artists, but also forcing those breaks where we actually can just sit with eyes closed or just rest, sharpen our charcoal sticks, whatever we need to do, and not waste that much time and still get a bit of breathing room. So that's like, common Monday through Thursday. Fridays, we usually have lectures in the afternoon or in the mornings, or workshops, depending. So Hans said a bit about that earlier, with all from framing workshops to paint grinding, to then we go into the business side. We have a lot of that, which is really good because people tend to, we're artists, well, fuck business, whatever, excuse my language. But it's really nice that we actually go through stuff like that, how to be a responsible artist in those ways as well, with taxes and everything, and running a company and doing prints. And so
that's also something we don't want, is to sort of train people and then just say, all right, 3 years done, goodbye, good luck. We want to prepare people ahead of time so they can get out there and actually be prepared to start to launch their career, or even before they leave, start to apply to galleries if that's what they want to do, or things like that. I mean, it's incredibly important. That's part of your life, whether you like it or not. If you're not independently wealthy, you're going to have to sort of sell your work or find a way to put it out there and find a market and that sort of thing. So I think it's very important that we have to have that conversation, talk about those things, and have people prepared to do that.
And you're doing the lectures are, you're doing a really good job. I find as well, or at least, actually like either taking photographs, saving, or, writing notes down, asking questions, having a dialogue about that, and getting a lot of information that we might we'll take that later. We're just trying to shove that away, and we, still get forced to deal with that in a very good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Friday is set to, so like Alexander said, so Monday to Thursday it's figure and your projects, either your cast or your still life or whatever, depending on where you are on the program. And then the Friday is set for those things, and Hans, you hold most of those. Artist appreciation, art history, art
materials, all those things.
Yeah, so that's sort of the structure.
And then outside lectures come too, but that day is reserved for those sorts of things. We have lectures, workshops, like you said, and that sort of thing. Sort of like a little, it's sort of a little special day. It feels that way anyway.
But it's really nice, and then often we have a few hours to work on personal projects as well if we need some extra time. But I find that to be a really nice meeting place, and you do a really good job with the lectures as well, not only for the camera.
You're making me sound very thirsty. You keep saying that. It was a joke. No, but I appreciate that. But it's no.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to mention too on Fridays is there's no instruction. So on Monday through Thursday, teachers coming and visiting you and giving critiques. But on Friday, that doesn't happen because there's lectures, workshops. So those students can still work on, like you said, personal projects and things like that. And there might be a Friday where there's no lectures or something, and then it's just work as usual, right? But the teachers aren't.
And I think on that note, you have a lot of help through the education with teachers. There is always two teachers giving critiques every day. So you should get critique morning and afternoon. You get 33 teacher-led hours per week, which is quite a lot. So there's always someone there to help you, because you do, especially in the first few years, you do need that sort of guidance and help to because we are literally talking millimeters.
Yeah,
some days where it's all about making these correct drawings and paintings, and it's tight.
Oh yeah, the first.
Awesome.
So you need that help.
Like boot camp.
Yeah, it is.
You're on your feet up in the ateliers. I didn't get to the upstairs, but upstairs there's 3 studios, 3 ateliers, where you depending on where you are on the program, and you're on your feet. You get your own chair. But you're on your feet a lot. And
We
you need-
stand and work 95% of
Yeah,
all
it
time,
is
because you
intense.
need to be
Yeah.
able to back away from the artwork to see either the cast or the still life or the model and the artwork side by side. So you need a bit of distance. You walk back, you observe, you go, to the artwork, you make some corrections, or and then you back off again, and you have that constant walking back and forth. And that is, you get some strong legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is intense.
Maybe.
Is
And
it what you expected when you came here? Ashley, yeah.
Yeah.
When you got here and the training started, I mean, you can answer this too.
Yeah, but
Was it? But you kind of got a preview because of
yeah,
model.
I was cheating there
Yeah.
for 2 years,
You
just
yeah.
standing with my
Catherine,
binoculars.
you
So,
literally moved
when you-
from the other
yeah.
side of the world to this little town in Sweden. You read about this education on the art renewal, and you got accepted to the program. You traveled here. Has it lived up to your
Made your first
expectations?
mark, and the teacher came and said, "Wrong."
That's
Fix
not
it.
a blocking.
It's
Yeah,
lived
control
up to
that.
my expectation in a way of improving my skills and like really being able to see the differences from where I started before I came here. And you guys were talking earlier about how the teachers critique your work, moving millimeters. And you'll have that magical moment when you notice the changes you need to make yourself, and you're like, I'm learning, because before it can be hard to see such little differences. But as you spend more time here, then you just expand your knowledge. But besides that, I didn't know what to expect. I had never been to Sweden before. I didn't know anybody here.
Mhm.
I just took that leap of faith and just accepted everything that it was. And like when I see the students in the older terms, you can tell that this program really works. And anytime like you need a break from your work, you can just walk into their studio or during lunchtime, and you just get inspired seeing what's in your future in the later on in the programs.
Mhm.
How is it with the Swedes here? Are we only walking around talking our own language, or are we good at communicating in English as well? And
Yes, almost everybody speaks English here, so that was also really, really nice, because I was
Who doesn't?
concerned about not knowing
well,
any
maybe the
Swedish.
Federal Island students.
Oh yeah, there's one
but,
person.
But
that doesn't
otherwise,
speak English.
Hmm.
Right. I was gonna say, who doesn't speak English?
One person I encountered in the grocery store.
oh yeah.
Oh, in the
exactly,
grocery.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a
English
diff-
is the second official language in Sweden.
Yeah, so
everybody speaks
if
English.
you have any hesitations about that, like no worries.
And you will get by in English for
Yeah.
sure.
Exactly.
even in the town and so forth.
Yeah.
That's good.
Really
That's helpful.
quite surprising.
Yeah, they talk
Everybody's
a lot
learning.
better than
Yeah.
I would expect.
Yeah.
No questions? Have we been crystal clear? No one submitted any questions?
Yeah, the questions we have been answering.
I
because
have been told that everyone can hear it all right, so that
Oh,
was
that's
a
good.
relief for me to hear that, so we're not waffling on.
Oh, you don't have my face. You can't get in without
No.
just showing your
I
face.
keep looking at it. Because I
Um,
can see the questions on here too, if there is any.
As long as this one is played, it's good.
If the webinar will be available afterwards. Yes, I think we will try and organize that for sure. Can a student attend for a year, go back to their home country, and then return in future years?
Good question.
Yes,
It is a good question.
that is a
The
good
answer is
question.
yes.
Yes.
However, I was just saying,
Cut.
no,
Of
I would
course
just say
you
this.
can.
Yes, people do that. A lot of people intend to do that also. And I'm just gonna be, frank about it, honest. People, they'll come for a year and they'll tell themselves that I'm gonna take a year off or a term off or whatever, and then I'm gonna come back. And more often than not, they don't, because life happens. Life
Yeah.
gets in the way, you get distracted. With the best of intentions, you might leave thinking I'm for sure gonna do this, but then life just happens and it never happens. So, and also, even for those people who do come back, you build a certain momentum as you're studying. In that first year, you have summer break, then you come back, and if you interrupt that, it's just, it takes a little bit longer to get into it again. So if at all possible, I wouldn't interrupt my studies. I would find some way to make it work so that I could study all 3 years and then, figure out things,
I guess.
then interrupt it and then come back. It does work. People have done it to great success, but I do think I would be wary of that.
In the years I've been here, there has actually been a few people that do that, and yes, it works. I guess you have to accept that you're not going to be with the same group that you left when you left the school, and you start in a new group.
They might still be around depending on how long the break is, but
exactly.
they're going to be a little bit further on.
But absolutely, is it possible? And for the students that do come back, it's not a problem. You do sort of catch up quite quickly and get into the rhythm again.
Put it this way.
Also, there's people that come and say, students that start and then they say, I'm only going to do a year. And they do stay because they get the momentum going, and they manage to find ways to carry on. Both works, and if you want this enough, then you make it work. Even if you do have a break and come back, so very possible.
I mean, ideally, you just study and don't stop. Taking a break and then coming back, of course, is better than not doing that. But yeah. Good question, though.
Let's see if we have.
And a fair question.
Yeah, absolutely. Alexander, we need your face again.
Well, of course.
Okay.
We'll do like this, then. As long as it plays, it won't go dark. Yeah. And the volume is down, so don't worry about it.
Well, we are coming close to the end here. So and there seem to be no more questions.
If you come up with a question later, just email, of course. Just email the school.
Yes, absolutely. Phone us up, email us. We are here a lot. I forgot to say also we're always here. There's always someone here on Saturdays too.
Always.
Yeah, I mean it's we have our official hours, but then the school's open much more than that, of course.
This school does become a bit of a second home. We have a kitchen which is fully kitted, and students cook here, teachers cook here. We hang out, we do things together. It's a very social place.
On the
where
weekends
people socialize, but I mean, you need to when you work so hard, because the Monday to Friday is very intense and busy working. So yeah. Anything else? Anyone feel we should...
Closing remarks or anything?
No, we do. I was just thinking, because we've just been in Madrid on a school trip. And we do a bit of school now, like now with COVID.
Good thing to mention,
problem.
actually.
Typically we take one school trip a year where we go. Yeah, we've been to Amsterdam, we've been to Prague, we've been to Madrid. We just came back from that a week or two ago.
Berlin.
So we take these school trips and spend a few days or a long weekend and visit museums and do that. And that's really amazing. That's really always a lot of fun. And it's nice now that things have gotten started again because of the COVID.
And the term that we don't go on a school trip, which is usually the fall term, we usually go on the school trip, the long school trip in the spring. So in the fall, we always make sure to go to Copenhagen. And we go
rent
there.
A bus,
we rent a bus and
drive up to Copenhagen. Yeah, it's fun. We get dropped off at the museum, go through town, and get picked up. It's really cool.
Bus is booked already. We're actually going soon. That's booked already. We're going to go an extra time this time.
I love Copenhagen. It's a really cool town, and they have great museums and great art.
I think we're ending up here. In case anyone was wondering, Alexander is actually in a painting behind us.
Oh, good. I'm in two. My narcissism.
Just in case anyone was. But I thought I'd save that to the end. People get distracted.
Yeah, I was getting distracted.
Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm sure we'll be back soon again. But so far, we'll say good night
and let us know if there's something that we could do better or that you'd like to have us address next time or something like that. That would be really helpful. We appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Just slap that down.
Yeah, smash.
Goodbye.
One more.